Hey, everybody, this is Tammy Bennett. I think we're going to go ahead and get started and be mindful of everyone's time this afternoon. I want to thank you for joining us. The presentation today is related to something that we've been working on for at least 6 months with Deborah Precious Operations to bring out online registration. One of the things that we found whenever we rolled out the red cap for telemedicine is, a lot of people wanted to do this for any type of visit. And that way, not only would it save time on the face-to-face registration portion, but a lot of it could be done at your convenience earlier than the appointment. And they found that they really liked it. So I want to go through the new online registration red cap that I made so that you can see some of the benefits of it. So the first thing is, what is online registration? Well, online registration is a way to use electronic means as a method of communication. And one of the most important functions with online registration is being able to filter appointments by not only the program, but also the appointment type. With the LDH online registration in RedCap, I've designed it to where you'll be able to get all of the registration information obtained electronically before the patient actually comes to the clinic. So it's all done pre-visit, including copies of their ID, proof of income, insurance card, front and back copies, all of those. What this does is it minimizes face-to-face time with the health unit staff, also decreases the total visit time with each client to make it easier to come in, get what you need, and then leave. The patient also chooses the program and type of visit, so that also helps with the scheduling burden on the administration staff as far as what kind of appointment do they need? Can it be with a nurse? Can it be telehealth? Can it not? All those questions are pretty much answered with this new one. Client chooses whether to opt in to telehealth depending on the type of visit that's needed. And it also obtains the LDH consent for treatment and telehealth consent if they opt in to telehealth appointments. So some new and exciting changes in this new project is that each region is going to have their own online registration project. And this new online project will take the place of the ones we were using for reproductive health and CYSHCN. Those two were separated before doing telemedicine, but now you're just going to have one project for the whole region. You can send out just consents. If you have a patient who was seen within the last 2 weeks, a lot of times we've gotten asked the question, well, they just filled out this whole entire thing. Can we just send out the consents for signature? The new answer is now yes, you can just send out the consents instead of the whole online registration survey if they've been seen within the last 2 weeks, if they have completed the registration process within the last 2 weeks. And then we built in a lot of branching logic, and that's a fancy word for if this, then this. And that makes it easier on the administrative coordinators to schedule. A couple of the differences between the new one versus the telemedicine is, as I said before, there used to be 2 separate projects, one for reproductive health and one for CSHS, but now all programs are going to be in just one project. And that's going to include reproductive health, CSHS, immunizations, and TB. WIC is not included on online registration because they don't use the Entergy platform to schedule their appointments or to see their patients. Some of the benefits to doing online registration is we use the same workflow as if they were to come in and sit down at your cubicle and go through all of the registration, but it's in an electronic version. And so that means that you can do registration as soon as the patient finishes it at your convenience. It's also simpler with this new one for the patient to fill out on their phone and upload any kind of pictures or proofs. It saves time in the clinic. It improves efficiency and also reduces errors. It's customizable. So if you, and one of the reasons we're working with you on this as a pilot is because I need your help when this is really truly in a platform where it's being used on a day-to-day basis. There may be something that I left out or an option or something's not dropping right. So before this is rolled out statewide, that's what this region 8 is, what y'all are going to help me with, is making sure that it's falling like it's supposed to be. We also have the ability to send anybody a customer satisfaction survey. With the telehealth, we had that built in, but it was only for telehealth patients. And really, part of Title 10 is having that patient satisfaction survey. So it's going to be two birds, one stone. You don't have to manually enter, surveys like you had in the past. We'll just be able to send it out and get some feedback. And of course, we're trying to keep current on the latest technology available. So let's go through some steps. Some of this is going to be very familiar to you, but just as a review, when you click into REDCap and you go to My Projects, you're going to see Region 8 online registration. You're going to click the blue hyperlink, and then on the left side of the page, you're going to go to Add Edit Records, Add New Record, and then it's going to look like this, which is very similar to what you've been seeing already. In order for you to send out the survey to the patient, you're going to click the bubble that says PHU staff complete. So what happens as soon as you complete that? So it's going to open up and you're going to be able to complete today's date, first name, last name, date of birth, and email address. And then after that, you're going to save and exit form. You don't mark that form status as complete. You're going to leave it as incomplete. And then after the appointment's made, that's when you go back and mark it as complete. So leave it as incomplete. Just do these steps, save and exit. What happens then is as soon as you hit save and exit, an email is sent immediately to that email address with a link to take the survey. And this is the pre-done generic email that goes from your generic health unit email address. And it's not going to come from, like, say, Tammy Bennett. It's going to come from Washita RH Clinic or whatever your generic email address is. It's going to come from there, and it's going to state this: to complete the survey. And then before starting the survey, this is what they're going to need to gather. If they're unable to upload the documents, we ask them to continue with the survey, but then contact the clinic for assistance. All right. Any questions so far? Please note, go ahead and use the chat if you need to, if you don't want to speak, but interrupt me anytime. So what happens then? So you send out the email, and if the patient does not complete the survey today or within that before 8 o'clock in the morning, then it's going to automatically resend the same email to the patient's email address every day for the next 2 days at 8 a.m. The system knows when the patient has completed that survey because it's a patient-specific link. So they can't forward that link to somebody else. It's just for them. If for whatever reason their cell phone reception gets interrupted or their computer goes down while they're completing it, the staff do not have to resend out that survey link. They can go into the same survey link and it'll ask them if they want to pick up where they left off. And they would say yes, and then they would just continue with their registration. One of the things you might get is if you get a call from the patient and they say, it won't let me go, keep going. It keeps saying something, it won't go through. Tell them there's certain fields in the survey that's mandatory for them to fill out. And if they don't fill it out, it's going to keep bouncing back to that same question until they do complete it. So make sure you tell them that to look and make sure all their bubbles are filled in and every line is completed. If if they're still having trouble, you can go in RedCap and you can see which which area they stopped on, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then you can kind of troubleshoot with them over the phone. I was talking earlier about branching logic. There's certain questions that are asked based on the response of the question before. For instance, when one of the first questions that we ask in this online registration is, please tell us what program or service you're interested in. And so if they pick reproductive health, which I've listed out exactly like this slide has it, what reproductive health is, or if they then it's going to reflect all the reproductive health workflow questions. If they pick TB, then it's going to reflect all the TB workflow questions, and same with the other two programs. So this is kind of what I was talking about. Let's say they pick reproductive health. Then it's going to pop up, what type of visit do you need? And I've put all different kinds of scenarios that they may come up with that they may be a little shy in telling a clerk or telling someone over the phone what they're coming in for. But this is going to be pretty easy for you to figure out whenever this is completed, if they need to be with a nurse or a nurse practitioner. And we've actually mapped this out. Deborah and I have a thing with this that we presented with the scheduling piece, and we can share that again where it has all of these different types of appointments and who they can be scheduled with. Let's say that they pick annual exam 39 years and younger. At that point, it's going to pop up with this question because the system has been told that it's okay to have a telehealth appointment if they pick certain appointment types. So it's going to ask them, are they interested in a telemedicine appointment? They'll say yes or no. Let's say they say yes. Then it's going to ask if they have access to Wi-Fi or mobile data. And if so, if they say yes, then they're going to sign both the LDH consent and the telemedicine consent. If they say no to telehealth, then the only consent that's going to pop up is the LDH consent. You'll know that RedCap is completed, very similar, but there's only a couple of options now. Instead of having each part of the registration separated, I now have it all as one. It's just all the patient information. And then you can see when it's red here, that means they haven't had an appointment made yet. Green, 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 that means they're ready to have an appointment made, ready to have the RedCap pulled off, registration completed in Entergy, stuff uploaded, and then you'll be able to see what kind of appointment and who to schedule with. Can they choose more than one option? Yes, they can. They can, like say if they need an annual and oh, by the way, I have a problem, they can. So looking at this, it's also very easy to tell at a glance. If the patient said yes to telemedicine, then you'll notice that this has a telemedicine consent form checked. If they said no, or they needed a visit type that wasn't compatible with telemedicine, it won't have that consent that's completed. Again, the way to pull RedCap after it's been completed, when it looks like this, you'll click this blue hyperlink for the record number. Once you click that, you're going to see this pop up, which is a more detailed view of each record. And then you go to choose action for record, and you're going to click the download zip file that contains all of your pictures. And you're going to see this one, which has all of their answers. And if you'll just think about all the questions you usually ask face to face with them right there in your cubicle. These are all the questions you would have asked. You just have to read their answers to put in Entergy now. And then once you download them, they're going to be on the bottom left of your screen where you'll click it, each one, and it'll open up for you to save to your Entergy upload file. You'll also save the pictures to where the ID is on that front page, insurance front and back, and proof of income and the consents are scanned into the images. Once you do all of the registration and upload the pictures and the consents, you're going to check for it. If they have insurance, you're going to key that in and then check for insurance eligibility by running that verification, making sure it comes back clean with no errors. And then it's time to make the appointment. So you'll look on the red cap, you'll see that they wanted a reproductive health 39 or under appointment. And you'll say, oh yeah, but I don't know if do they need a PAP? Do they not? We don't want y'all to have to worry about determining when scheduling if the patient needs a PAP. So the workflow for that is going to be that you're going to task one of your clinical nurses or providers in the back, one of the nurses, and you're going to ask her to look on Tammy Bennett's chart to see if she needs it in person or telemedicine. And they'll come back after they review the chart and say telemedicine is fine, or they'll tell you, no, she needs it in person based on whatever they identify in the chart. If they say that telemedicine is fine, then you go ahead and do the telemedicine workflow by scheduling the Zoom and emailing the link. Yes, this is for all services, not just telemed appointments. This gives you the option of less face-to-face time, even for those in-person appointments. You can do pre-registration on them. That's the beauty of it. And for all programs, not just reproductive health and CSHS. So, revisits within 2 weeks. This is one of the biggies because let's say that the patient had a telehealth visit, had labs done, and those labs come back positive, and they just did the whole survey not 2 weeks ago. So we know all we really need is the consent signed. So to do that, whenever you pull up that patient, you're going to see a plus sign here beside LDH consent for services. You're also going to see a plus sign beside telehealth. You don't have to do both. If you just need the LDH consent re-signed for the next visit, you can hit that plus sign here under right beside the LDH. And if they need a telehealth visit, you can do both of them. Remember, you don't do a telehealth consent without the LDH consent. So you will do both if it's a telehealth, but if it's an in-person visit, then you can just do the LDH consent. You can click this plus sign here, or you can go down to the bottom underneath each one and hit add new. Either way. So that's the way you can resend it out. Now there's a little workflow issue that we have to go through. Once you get the hang of it, it's going to be no big deal. But because it won't just let you just send it out and email it. I wish it was that easy, but it needs to look like the patient didn't complete the whole second consent. So in order for us to have that box to then email it to them. So what you'll do is you'll click the plus sign to add the new one. You're going to go down and click self. When it pops up, it's going to pop up with the actual consent form like you're going to fill it out. But we know we can't sign it for the patient. So we're going to go down and click self, and then save and exit. Once you do that, then at the very top, it's going to pop up with this that not all the fields were completed, and you're going to hit OK. Once you hit that, it saves it like it's a half done consent form, and it'll allow you to then go up to survey options, compose survey invitation, and email this back out to the client. We're going to demonstrate this in a second. It's not as hard as it seems, but it's a little thing that you can't just directly send out a blank survey. You have to have it just one little question filled out, and then you can email the rest. To compose the survey invitation, just make sure whenever you go down, you're clicking the generic email address here and not your own. When you pull this down right here where it says to, it's going to automatically have the patient's email there. For subject, you're going to just say, LDH consent or telemedicine consent in the subject line. That way the patient knows to be looking for that. And then you click send invitation. You can tell the second consent is complete because it'll turn from red to green whenever that consent is complete and they're ready to be scheduled their second appointment. Any questions before we go into the actual online registration part? So sometimes one of the questions is that can they send their surveys back uncompleted? And yes, they can, but you don't have to go in and resend it out. You may have to call them and say, hey, it's not completely completed. Do you want me to go over the rest, on the phone? Or do you want to click the link and finish it up that way? But yeah, they don't have to, like used to, once they got out of it, they couldn't get back into it without you sending it to them again. And that's been removed. They can go back to that original email and click on that same link and take them right back to their survey. So just real quick, this is what I was talking about. I'm gonna go back to my projects. You're gonna see probably just Region 8 online registration. You may see Region 8 RH Telehealth and Region 8 CYSHCN. So after this training, I want you to start using Region 8 online registration instead of the RH Telehealth and instead of CYSHCN down here. Just use this one. I've already put it into ready status for you, so it's all ready to go. When you click it, I believe that I've already added all of the users, but if for whatever reason, when you go into your projects, if you don't see Region 8 online registration listed, let me know and I will add you. You'll click Add Edit Records, Add New Record. Again, click that top circle. It automatically defaults to today's date, and you will put in the email address along with their date of birth, their email. Leave this one blank for now and leave this one as incomplete, and save and exit. And almost immediately, it's very, very quick. It comes up to the patient. You'll see it's already here. And this is the email that it says to the patient about what to get before they really start it. They'll click patient information. It'll take them right to it. This is what I was talking about with branching logic. So if they click reproductive health, there's all my type of appointments. And if you see, because y'all are the gurus with piloting things, if you see something that I may have missed, it's not too late for me to add it. That's what this whole pilot thing is about. TB, let's say if they pick TB, these are the TB types of visits. Immunizations, children and special health care services, and then other. So if they say other, we're going to want them to type in what do you need, okay? And then that will help you also with scheduling. right. Now, as soon as, see again, whenever I pick something that allows telehealth, it's going to ask them automatically if they want telehealth or not. But if I pick something that needs an in-person, it does not pop up telehealth. So it's not even going to give them an option if it's one of those types of visits that needs to be in person anyway. It'll give them, we try to accommodate as best we can, the day and the time, but, for some of our clinics, we're only there once a week. So, we'll just have to communicate with them to put them in whenever we're going to be there, especially if it's for the nurse practitioner. I believe everything else should be very familiar. Yeah. The only thing I did add was at the very bottom, we did find out we can't put generic medications into the system. So we did ask that they provide a list of their current medicines here, which is going to be helpful for the nurses when they come back. They can pull up that red cap. And if they don't bring their medicines with them in person, then you can look back at the red cap and see if they filled this out as well. What am I missing? What would y'all like to see? What about the access of records request form and the privacy practices? So the privacy practices is actually built into the LDH consent for treatment now. So there shouldn't be a separate HIPAA consent that they have to fill out. It is already built into here. And I'm not sure about records request form. That may be something that we want to discuss with Precious and Deborah to see if that's something we want to do through the internet or if it's something that that they still come up to the health unit to request. I don't know. Y'all feel free to unmute yourselves if you have any questions. Hey, Daniela.
Yeah.
Did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, but I think I was muted. I thought I was double. Yeah, I was just going to say about the records request. Precious shared with us on Monday that those are going through the portal.
Oh,
the Gov portal.
Great. So they may have a way to do that through the portal, which is good. Then we wouldn't have to build that through RedCap. How do y'all feel about this? Do you feel comfortable? Is it similar to what you've been doing? Do you feel like this will ease the burden of in-person and telemedicine visits? And how do you feel?
Some of you clerical out there, answer her question. This is Pam.
It's just us. It's not the whole state. It's just your region. So feel free to.
A lot of people may not have access to.
About that. There are probably some that are comfortable with chat.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think and I really like adding the medications because it even reminds the patient, okay, I do need to bring a list. And then if they forget their list, then it was there. They have done it at home.
Right. One of the questions in the chat, so all appointments go through RedCap now. If they have email, that's a good practice to go ahead and try to get them to do it ahead of time. Especially, Deborah, you might want to talk about this with COVID numbers rising and going up, and us wanting to limit the physical in-person face-to-face time.
But this is not for WIC, correct?
No, not for WIC.
Hey, Tammy, just from the forms and all. So now if all they have is access to a phone, they are not eligible for a telemedicine visit. Is that correct?
They still are, since we're still in that COVID area.
Okay.
If they just have access to a phone, it would be fine.
Okay.
But one day it's going to end. We just don't know when.
Okay.
Deborah, Daniela, Kenneth, I see y'all are on the phone. Would y'all like to say anything? Did I miss anything?
Can y'all hear me now?
I can now.
Okay, this is Caitlin. So when we start this, will we schedule these patients as like they would be coming in the building to be seen? Who's going to see these patients if they're doing the telemedicine?
Now, if
And
they're
we have
telemedicine, they're going to be seen by one of the nurse practitioners in the state.
okay, so they want to be seen for TB. Would the nurse practitioner still do that as well?
No, so so telemedicine is not even going to pop up as an option for any TB appointment or
Okay.
immunizations appointment. It's only going to pop up for those appointments with reproductive health that the visit type matches what they can have on telehealth, and also CSHS and the clinics that do telehealth. So you're not going to have to worry with them having a telehealth consent and then wanting immunizations. If you do, then I didn't build something right.
Wanted to make sure because I got a little confused. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm trying to unmute you, Deborah. I said that you could unmute yourself. Is it working?
*6.
Yeah, *6. So one of the other questions that came in, if they don't complete the form in the 2 days, are we responsible for reaching back out to the patient to schedule the manual old way? Yes, absolutely. So one of the main reasons, I thank you, Jennifer, for bringing that up. One of the main reasons that I put the date on this PHU enrollment is because on the other way, we didn't have any way to see when it was originally sent out. So now when you are monitoring your record status dashboard and you see that this is still not gotten any answers, then you can go into this number 1, go into the completion part that you did, and you can see what date you sent it. If it's over 3 days, we give them today and 2 other days. But if it's other than after that, the first thing you need to make sure you're checking is your generic email to make sure that the email didn't bounce back as undeliverable. That's the first thing. Second thing is you'll want to reach out to call the patient and say, just make sure you got your survey. Do you want me just to go ahead and schedule you? Because this is not mandatory for an in-person appointment. This is it. We do need to have the consents signed for telemedicine in some way, but you can also still do the registration, all of the questions by phone. But it's just easier if they do have email and you can get it ahead of time. Deborah, *6. Did that work? It shows you unmuted. That's odd. So Deborah typed in, as COVID numbers continue to increase, the priority is to have as few clients spend extra time in our health units with staff face-to-face. And that's actually what I had heard too. I mean, there are certain states that are actually shutting down again. So we want to just be prudent with our face-to-face time and making sure that we can do what we can do, we do ahead of time and in the safest way possible. Any other questions, Melissa, Daniela, any remarks? That's all I have.
No questions. If anybody does have any questions, you can reach out to me, and we'll work through it too, and we can get with Tammy, or we'll figure it out. And it's not made to. This is going to help us. It's not saying, okay, the patient showed up in their DIS patient, they haven't filled out their forms, they can't be seen. That's, we're still going to see those DIS patients. We're still going to do all of this. But in the case where we have time and we can get this done ahead of time, it will really cut down that face-to-face.
Hey, just real quick, I know we're over time, but somebody asked a very good question. Can we all have access to delete records? And the answer to this, that was yes. I have done that. So when you go into the patient record and you see choose action for record, you can delete it. The thing I ask you not to do is don't delete it until we know that they're not going to need that appointment, or we know that they're not going to complete that recap. After that, yes, you can delete it. But if once they've completed it and you've turned it green, leave it on there, because I might be able to add, you know, the patient survey, the satisfaction survey, which would be automatic if we leave as many in there as possible.
Tammy, I know Region 8 is piloting, so this won't be on Moodle, will it? I had a couple that got interrupted and weren't able to watch the whole video.
No, but the reason why I did it was so I could send it directly to you. So,
Okay.
Melissa, I will send you the PowerPoint and a link to this recording. Okay.
That's great. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Or Pam, I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought that was Melissa. Well, listen, y'all have a great day, and please don't hesitate. If you see something missing, help me out. We know that y'all are awesome in what you do, and I appreciate you piloting this.